The breach of the Kharkhova hydroelectric dam on June 6, 2023, caused a humanitarian and ecological disaster in the Kherson region of Ukraine. The dam collapsed due to a Russian cyber attack, according to Ukrainian authorities, flooding thousands of homes and farmlands on both sides of the border. The water level rose by more than 10 meters, threatening the nearby Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe. The disaster also affected the occupied territories of Donbass, where pro-Russian separatists have been fighting against Ukrainian forces since Ukraine launched a massive rescue operation to evacuate people from the flooded areas and provide them with food, water, medicine, and shelter. However, the situation was complicated by the presence of Russian troops and militants, who blocked access to some parts of the region and fired at Ukrainian rescuers and civilians. Ukraine accused Russia of using the catastrophe as a pretext to escalate the conflict and prepare for a full-scale invasion. In this context, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy stepped up his criticism of the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, the Geneva-based humanitarian organization that has a mandate to protect and assist victims of armed conflict and other situations of violence. Zelensky said that the ICRC failed to fulfill its functions and did not join the rescue operation or help the people in the occupied areas. He also said that the ICRC had a monopoly and did not allow other organizations to appear or work in Ukraine. Zelenskyy's remarks echoed his previous complaints about the ICRC's performance in Ukraine, especially regarding the issue of political prisoners. Ukraine has been demanding the release of hundreds of its citizens who are held captive by Russia or its proxies in Donbass and Crimea, some of them for years. The ICRC is supposed to facilitate prisoner exchanges and monitor their conditions, but Ukraine claims that it has been ineffective and passive. Zelensky said that he wanted a second organization to be established with co-responsibility for accessing political prisoners, arguing that competition might spur the ICRC to be more proactive. He also said that he was shocked by the failure of other international organizations, such as the United Nations, to help after the dam's destruction. He said that each person that dies there is a verdict on the existing international architecture and international organizations that have forgotten how to save lives. The ICRC responded by saying that it was doing its best to provide humanitarian assistance to all affected people, regardless of their location or affiliation. It said that it faced many challenges and constraints in accessing some areas due to security reasons and lack of cooperation from some parties. It also said that it respected its principles of neutrality, impartiality, and independence, and that it did not seek or accept any monopoly or competition in its work. The ICRC also defended its role in facilitating prisoner exchanges, saying that it acted as a neutral intermediary between the parties and provided technical support and humanitarian services. It said that it had no influence over the political decisions or negotiations that determined who was released or when. It also said that it regularly visited detainees and reported on their conditions confidentially to the authorities. The ICRC's critics say that its principles are not enough to protect and assist people in need, and that it should be more vocal and assertive in denouncing violations of human rights and international humanitarian law. They also say that its confidentiality prevents accountability and transparency, and that it should share more information with the public and other actors. The ICRC's supporters say that its principles are essential to maintain its credibility and access in complex and volatile situations, and that it should not compromise them for short-term gains or pressures. They also say that its confidentiality is necessary to build trust and dialogue with all parties, and that it should respect its agreements and obligations. The debate over the ICRC's role and performance in Ukraine reflects a broader debate over the challenges and dilemmas faced by humanitarian actors in today's world, where conflicts are often protracted, fragmented, and politicized. How can they balance their principles with their pragmatism? How can they adapt to changing contexts and needs? How can they cooperate with other actors without losing their identity or autonomy? These are some of the questions that will continue to shape the future of humanitarian action.